In January 2023, the financial world froze. A 100-page report dropped like a bomb, accusing one of Asia's most powerful tycoons of orchestrating the largest con in corporate history. The man in the crosshairs? Gautam Adani, the self-made billionaire from Gujarat who built a sprawling empire from ports to power plants, from coal mines to data centers. Just days before, he was the third richest man in the world, his fortune estimated at over $120 billion. But the Hindenburg research report was more than just an attack. It was a direct challenge to the legitimacy of everything Adani had built over 4 decades. Allegations of accounting fraud, stock manipulation, and hidden debt set off a market earthquake. Within hours, billions were wiped from his company's value. Within days, the losses crossed $100 billion. And within weeks, Adani went from the pride of India's economic rise to the face of one of its biggest corporate crises. This was no ordinary fall from grace. It wasn't just about money, it was about national identity, political alliances, and the delicate balance between business and democracy. Some saw him as the ultimate Indian success story, a man who rode the wave of liberalization to bring infrastructure, jobs, and prestige to his homeland. Others whispered that his meteoric rise was fueled by favoritism from the highest levels of government, his fortunes intertwined with Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself. The Hindenburg report ripped open years of speculation and resentment. Suddenly, boardrooms, parliament halls, and television studios became battlegrounds. International investors fled. Local rivals circled like sharks, and Adani's closest allies began to distance themselves. Yet, in the eye of this storm, Gautam Adani did not vanish. He stepped in front of cameras, denying the charges, calling them a calculated attack on India, and framing himself as the victim of a global smear campaign. For his supporters, this was a patriotic rallying cry. For his critics, it was a desperate spin from a man cornered by facts. Behind the scenes, his group scrambled to reassure lenders, cancel planned share sales, and shore up cash reserves. But the damage was already done. Trust, once broken, is the hardest currency to recover. They once stood at the very top, but what happened next? Join the Hidden Billionaires to uncover the story. Gautam Adani's story begins far from the skyscrapers and trading floors where his name would later dominate headlines. Born in 1962-inch Ahmedabad, Gujarat, he grew up in a modest Jain family of 7 children. His father ran a small textile business, respectable, but far from the kind of wealth that defines billionaires. As a boy, Adani was restless, more interested in opportunity than academics. He dropped out of Gujarat University while studying commerce, not out of failure, but because he was already dreaming bigger than the classroom walls could hold. In 1978, at just 16, he boarded a train to Mumbai with little more than ambition and a hunger to escape the limits of his hometown. He found work as a diamond sorter in the city's bustling jewelry market, an industry where deals worth millions could hinge on a single handshake. That early exposure to high-stakes trade taught him 2 lessons: the power of networks and the necessity of speed in business. But Adani wasn't going to spend his life looking at gems. He wanted an empire of his own. His first big break came in 1981 when his elder brother asked him to manage a small plastics factory back in Ahmedabad. It was here that Adani discovered the potential of global trade. He began importing polyvinyl chloride, PVC, for India's growing plastic industry and soon pivoted into full-scale trading. The timing was perfect. India was on the cusp of economic liberalization, and the businessman who could connect local demand to global supply chains would own the future. Adani was positioning himself to be that man. Every early deal, every handshake, every calculated risk built the foundation for what would become the Adani Group, a conglomerate that, in decades to come, would control ports, mines, energy plants, and logistics hubs across multiple continents. But those humble beginnings also shaped something else: a quiet, calculating personality. Unlike flashier billionaires, Adani kept a low public profile. Friends and rivals alike would later say he was a man who could disappear from view until the precise moment to strike and strike big. By the 1992nd, India's economy was opening up to the world and Gautam Adani was ready. In 1995, he secured the contract to operate Mundra Port in Gujarat, a dusty, underdeveloped stretch of coastline that most saw as unremarkable. Adani saw it as the gateway to a logistics empire. He transformed Mundra into India's largest commercial port, capable of handling over 200 million tons of cargo annually. This was not just infrastructure, it was leverage. Whoever controlled the ports controlled the arteries of trade. Adani expanded aggressively into power generation, coal mining, and renewable energy. By the 2010 second, his group was present in every link of India's industrial chain. If you shipped goods, built infrastructure, or consumed electricity, chances were you were touching an Adani-owned asset. His rise was meteoric and controversial. Critics accused him of receiving favorable treatment from the government, particularly after Narendra Modi, also from Gujarat, became prime minister in 2014. Adani's fortunes seemed to soar in parallel with Modi's political career. At his peak in 2022, Adani's personal wealth was growing faster than almost any billionaire in history. The man who once sorted diamonds in Mumbai was now rubbing shoulders with world leaders and appearing on the cover of Forbes as Asia's richest man. The stock market adored him, his company's valuations skyrocketing. His conglomerate's debt-fueled expansion didn't worry investors yet. This was the golden age of Gautam Adani, and few dared to question how far he could climb. Fame comes with scrutiny, and in January 2023, the scrutiny arrived like a thunderclap. Hindenburg Research, a US-based short-selling firm, accused the Adani Group of engaging in brazen stock manipulation and accounting fraud. The report claimed the empire was built on inflated valuations, opaque offshore entities, and dangerous debt levels. The fallout was immediate. Adani Enterprises' share price plummeted, wiping tens of billions off the group's market cap in days. International banks demanded answers, Indian regulators faced public pressure, and opposition politicians seized the moment to attack both Adani and the Modi government. For Adani personally, the blow was devastating. His image as India's unstoppable business icon was shattered. He denied the allegations, calling them an attack on the nation, but the optics were damning. His canceled $2.5 billion share sale only fueled speculation about liquidity trouble. The Hindenburg episode exposed the fragility of trust in financial markets. For years, Adani's growth had been too fast, too smooth. Now every past deal was under the microscope. In the months following the report, Adani worked to stabilize his empire. He repaid some debt ahead of schedule, brought in new equity investors, and trimmed expansion plans. He remained active in business but less flamboyant, keeping a lower profile in media. His supporters pointed to continued project completions as proof of resilience. Critics argued he was merely buying time, and that the structural weaknesses Hindenburg exposed still lurked beneath. Internationally, some investors returned cautiously. Domestically, Adani retained influence, particularly in strategic sectors where his companies were too deeply embedded to ignore. Gautam Adani is married to Priti Adani, who runs the Adani Foundation, focusing on education and healthcare. Their two sons, Karan and Jeet, have taken senior roles in the group, signaling a clear plan for succession. The family presents a united front, with no public feuds or scandals. Yet, the empire they stand to inherit is more complex and politically sensitive than ever. Their challenge will be to sustain growth without the shadow of controversy undermining credibility. Adani's impact on India is undeniable. He transformed infrastructure and energy distribution, accelerated trade flows, and created jobs for hundreds of thousands. But his legacy is polarizing. To admirers, he's a visionary who dared to think on a national scale. To detractors, he's a cautionary tale about unchecked corporate power and political patronage. The Hindenburg report will forever be part of his story, whether or not history ultimately vindicates him. Gautam Adani's journey is a reminder that in the world of high finance, the higher you climb, the more dangerous the fall. He built an empire from nothing, But the storm that hit in 2023 showed that no fortune, no matter how vast, is immune to doubt. Was the price of fame worth it? For Adani, the answer may depend on whether he can rebuild trust in the years to come. If you found this story eye-opening, subscribe and stay tuned for more hidden truths from the world's richest. Tags: Hidden Billionaires, What Happened, Gautam Adani, Hindenburg Report, India Business Scandal, Adani Empire, Narendra Modi Connection, Corporate Fraud Allegations, Billionaire Downfall, Financial Market Shock, Asia's Richest Man,